From a sharecropper's son to an esteemed baseball coach for Southern University, a road that was potholed with poverty, racism, and pain. These obstacles should have kept him from the top of his game. Instead, he fought back with everything he had and won. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope against all odds chronicles the life of legendary head coach Roger Cador, the 14-time SWAC champion with 11 NCAA regional appearances. He's a member of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. He's a member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. He's a prestigious inductee into the Southern University Hall of Fame. And now, he's a distinguished member of the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Purchased today, Against All Odds. Against All Odds can be purchased on Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and Google Play.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient. They're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Of course, I am Perry White. He's the man, the myth, the legend himself, my man, Coach Roger Cador. What's up, Coach?
Just the red.
It don't stop, does it?
Does it?
You know, as we get ready to head towards the end of the month, man, we headed into July. You about to get ramped up, headed to Atlanta for MLB All-Star Weekend, correct?
Yeah, that'll be on the 9th. I'll be leaving out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So, or the 10th, one of them days. But, yeah, looking forward to it. Get to see a few old friends hadn't seen for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so they usually show up for All-Star Weekend.
For the people out there that's listening, man, give them an idea with the inclusion of the Swingman Classic, which is now an all-star game for HBCU baseball players on the Division I level, third year. You guys did it in Seattle last year, over in Dallas, now Atlanta. This thing has continued to grow. I remember when you talked to me about it just as an idea. Now it's blossomed into the third year of it and headed into Atlanta.
Yeah, you know, it took us 3 years to get it off the ground. Tony Reagan and Dale Matthews, the three of us, had a lot of conversation about making this happen. And then one day Tony called me. He said, "I think we got it."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "The commissioners bought into it." And he got Junior, which is Ken Griffey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to name it the Swingman Classic, name him after, in his honor. And everything took off from there.
For you, what was the perspective as a former coach on the HBCU level, but much respected beyond the HBCU world and the world of baseball? Why was it so important to make sure this game came into a reality?
Well, you know, I've been fortunate to be a part of meeting the right people in the commissioner office. First, I met Solomon. Man, should never forget his name. Solomon, and we got this thing rolling with the Urban Invitation.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Lee Solomon. And we got that done. He bought into it. And it all just started with a conversation. He and I were at a symposium in Richmond, Virginia, and I put it to him and asked him about it. He said, "Keep talking to me about it, keep talking." And I kept talking. And that took about 3 years, or maybe 4, before it became reality. Mm-hmm. And then from there, the name changed to Andre Dawson Classic. And now This thing has really, things have happened for kids who play at HBCUs. They have an opportunity to do what a lot of kids who play the college ball will never get to do. They get to play in big league stadium. You know, all expenses are paid. They live first class. I mean, it's a really great experience.
For people out there who don't understand, you know, because a lot of times you watch the big baseball when it's on television, you see the name brand institutions, but when we start to talk about the HBCUs, who you may not normally get a chance to see much unless it is the Andre Dawson Classic on the MLB Network, or you're watching the SWAC baseball tournament on ESPN or the SWAC Digital Network. How important is it for you to realize these guys need a platform to showcase their talent, because there is talent on this level?
There is talent. It's not a whole bunch of talent for the pro level, but there is talent. And just the opportunity, more than anything, we don't know what it's going to do for kids later on in life. Just to have this experience is going to make a huge difference. Can you imagine you being able to tell your son, I was able to play in a prestigious game, the HBCU All-Star game. Nobody else had that. We did it. I mean, there's a lot more than just playing for talent. Listen, we know, and I'm one who is a realist, there ain't a whole bunch of talent out there that's going to shake the world. You got me? But it's an opportunity to showcase what you do have. And, you know, it's really good. MLB realized that they need to showcase black kids, HBCU universities, because they got left behind somewhere in the 70s. Things changed, and baseball at HBCUs weren't the same anymore. So MLB said, let's do something. Hey, they spend a lot of money. You know, they move over 100-some people to make this event happen. You know the cost involved to move that many people? I say it might be 200, I say 100, but so many people moved to the media people, so many people behind the scene we never see. They're there to make sure they capture everything and make sure the game move on smoothly.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you said, you know, the game has changed and the HBCUs kind of got left behind. Your programs as a head coach got a lot of attention because you guys were doing things and accomplishing things that many didn't see HBCUs doing. But you were a guy who was really good at baseball at Southern and found yourself playing in the pros with many others. What was it and how was it for you guys to get noticed during those times on the pro level?
Well, let me tell you, when I played at Southern, we had a bunch of good players. We were getting drafted. I got drafted. And then when I came back after playing pro ball, you know, I realized there were some things that I could do once they hired me as the coach. The one thing I did that a lot of people don't do, I went to Atlanta and I talked with some of the big leaguers, sat in the clubhouse, went over strategies, talked about things they would do. And I got a good insight. Even though I played, it's a lot different playing and coaching. It's two different worlds. As a player, you go play. Coaching, you got to figure out stuff for other people. And I think a lot of coaches miss that, you got me? You got to put people in position where they can be successful. You got to extract whatever talent they have and define and develop it so they could be productive.
And for you guys, with that talent getting drafted, were scouts coming to the game? Was it just saying, hey, you need to go down to Southern or check out these HBCU? What was it in that time, in that era, that kept the eyes and the spotlight on you guys to take that and get that opportunity to go to the next level?
Well, Southern has always had a pretty good history because of Lou Brock and those guys. And scouts would come and watch us play. I mentioned Lou Brock, but there were other great players like Pete Bonds and Lee B.B. Richards and other players that were really talented. And scouts wanted to come, and they always felt Southern had some to offer. They had Danny Goodwin, drafted the very first pick in 1975. So it's a lot of good players that came through it. And when I began coaching, I wanted to sort of keep that going. I went out and tried to find good players and work at them and develop them. And fortunately, we were able to find some good ones and develop them. And for a long time, in my 30 years, we developed a lot of guys. So it's all about, you know, if you take a job, you got to take it for the right reason to make sure you keep the program steady, moving forward, not looking back.
What was those programs like of the yesteryears? Because a lot of people don't truly understand the history of Southern's baseball. For most generations, especially new ages, it seemed to have started with you. But you just named off a bunch of names of guys, and even a guy, the #1 draft pick. But for that program, even when you stepped foot in there, could you feel that competitive level in the program of knowing, man, some big name guys have come through here and have opportunities to go to the league?
Well, the history of itself spoke loud and clear. And if you were going to be a part of it, you had to work hard and be good to be a part of it. Now, when I played, I knew it was going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of failure to be able to be a part of it. But fortunately, I hung in there, Perry. I didn't give in when things were tough. I tightened the strap up and made it work.
What was it like with those big name guys that came before you to know they had become a part of that program and left a prestige piece of history that you are now joining? And just that program itself, the school and everything, just knowing it was Southern and having these names, did it resonate at the time when those guys were having success, or did it take years later to understand who those guys were and what they were able to accomplish?
I knew who they were, but it was just a different era because they didn't get a lot of attention. There wasn't people writing about them. So we were operating under the radar, you got me? And but we were still doing a lot of good things, which was the most important thing. We were accomplishing things. We were winning championships. We were beating big name schools. And we, even though the people at Southern probably didn't recognize it, we were doing really, really good things.
Yeah, you were, because of that. The program still to this day has this rich history of a story that needs to be told. And I always feel nobody better than to tell it than the guy who played it, coached it, sent guys to the league, graduated a lot of guys. You graduated yourself, went to the next level and played Major League Baseball. You are the epitome of the story of Southern when it comes to the baseball program. And you can tell the story from so many different perspectives that people oftentimes may miss because you look at the one piece of history. The one piece of history, especially for my generation, that we consistently hear about is Ricky Weeks. Of course, he won the Golden Spikes Award, but that's just where all eyes seem to center around. But it's so many other pieces in between that help make greatness under your tutelage as well.
Well, you know, I can go back 50, 60 years. Not a lot of people are still with us that can go back that far and tell the story and tell it accurately. You know, some of it could be masked a little, but when I tell it accurately. And I'm very fortunate that I'm able to still be here and tell the story. You know, I feel like I'm Buck O'Neill. He was the last guy who were able to tell the story of the Negro League because it wasn't written, it was orally. And Southern baseball history, to a large part, is only oral, not written. Matter of fact, it was a writer that would come in to write about the history of Southern baseball. Couldn't find very many things. He said he struggled to find one book that had something about Lou Brock in it, a yearbook. Can you imagine? First guy to make it to the Hall of Fame from an HBCU, played on the national championship team, the first one in the state of Louisiana, and they all write about him. We don't have anything. This is just incredible.
For people out there, talk about Lou Brock a little bit, give a little history, because I've only seen it from afar and the success, but from a Southern grad, Southern coach, and the pride that brings back to be able to talk about an alum like Lou Brock and the success that he had.
Well, the one thing I remember most, and it resonates with me a lot, is that every spring before he got to Florida, he would come to Southern and work with us, teach us things. And the one thing I learned from Lou was how to steal bases. I was a very prolific base stealer in the minor league. Had a high rate of success, only because I learned it from Lou. And the thing he said, 13 step, you don't want to take a big lead off of first, because they're going to throw over there at you, they may pick you off, and you're always concerned about getting back. Shorten your lead, and you take 13 steps, and then short slide into second base. I used to practice that every day. And then I would count my steps. I count them, and that's how I made it work.
That's a good story right there. Because
It's a great story, because nobody teaches that anymore. They're not going,
And the fact of, in success, still making time to come back and teach. Never too big of a person to still come back and apply knowledge and give knowledge to the next generation.
That's right. The other thing about Lou taught is that when you're on first base, that little cutout, they got cut out at first and third base, right? And he said, you don't want to, and I seen the big leagues, and I'm saying, what in the hell are they doing? In the big league, they take that lead behind the bag, not even with the bag going there. He said, come up forward, come forward, closer to the mound. And he said the peripheral vision, it gives them the feeling that you got a smaller lead. And that's how I taught my players. We come and stepping forward. And then I would to make them understand it, you gotta, for people to believe something, you gotta show them. I said, okay, y'all the pitchers. Y'all go in that mound. I would get behind where some of them guys taking that lead behind the bag. And then I would put them in front in that cut-off grass. Ooh, coach, I look right, they look like they don't have a lead at all. I said, quite correct, you're correct. I said, I learned that from Lou Brock. And he was, at the time, he was the greatest base stealer there was. It was a science. You got me? He understood science. And that's why he led the league in stolen bases so many times before Ricky Henderson came and demolished all of that. But he was the architect behind it, So not only was he a Hall of Famer, he was a good person who believed in giving up his time. I don't know how many of my former teammates got anything from him. Nobody ever talk about it. But sometimes people are afraid to ask questions and talk. I was like that sponge, just soaking it up when he was talking about it. And I went and made it work. Even though I was 6'5", I was a really good base stealer, and I made it work. I was almost as good as Marty Campbell.
All right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, let's make it work right here. We got to get ready to take a break. But when we come back, we'll continue more of the conversation. You guys stay tuned more. Chopping it up. Coach Roger Cador and Perry White, all right?
Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights, gravitate towards something out of this world, even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, Or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. Brack, we're more than a playground.
Cats down by 58 with 1 minute left.
Hey, where's everybody going? This game's not over, so we're not the best. Our kicker stubbed his toe on the ball, and pretty sure our mascot has his costume on backwards. But this is our team. No matter what.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Get the memoir from the legendary baseball coach from Southern University, Roger Cador, Against All Odds. Roger refused to let his past dictate his future by rising to legendary college baseball status. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles Coach Cador's determination to reach higher, to want more, and to dig deeper to find the courage to chase his dreams. Against All Odds. Get yours today by Cador and Cador Publishing. You are now watching Chopping It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
All right, everybody, welcome back. More of Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Of course, you see I'm Perry White, my man, Coach Roger Cador. The LSU Tigers, baseball champions of college world. You watch the game?
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts on it, man, and watching Coastal Carolina, a team coming into their 26 games in a row. LSU had not lost a game in the College Baseball World Series. A hell of a matchup of two teams of two programs that were fighting it out to hoist up the trophy.
Someone said, man, LSU in trouble. This team won 26 games. I said, all of the odds says they won't win the 27. I said, I bet people in Vegas are betting that too. Mm-hmm. You know, it's hard to win 26 in a row. It's even harder to win 27 in a row. You know, it's just a difficult task. And sports is what it is. Mm-hmm. The odds are against you. That's why in pro sports, and that's what I'm going to use pro sports, the bad teams win 30% of the games. Mm-hmm. That tells you something. They beat good teams. You got me? Mm-hmm. 30% of the time. So it's, you know, and so you can expect, we could have expected LSU to win it based upon the odds.
Impressive.
Now, and LSU was obviously the better team. Mm-hmm.
Impressive performance from the bullpen for them. Talk about, because when we got into the regional, you said, hey, this is what makes and break you. It's the bullpen. Mm-hmm. It's the pitching. Looking at LSU and the pitching, the bullpen just really won this series. I mean, it won a championship for them. The depth and the talent that they have at that level.
Yeah. Well, Jay Johnson knows that if you're going to win it, you need pitching, and he got pitching. Mm-hmm. I mean, his position players are not great players, but he's got 2 or 3 sprinkle in there. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good, but it's the pitching and defense that got him over the hump.
From your perspective as a coach, talk about developing pitchers, working on pitchers, and getting pitchers ready for the big moment.
Well, I don't know about developing. These guys had talent. They came there with talent. But the psychological aspect of it is where you get them ready for the big moment. You got to prepare them psychologically. You may have to tell them, listen, we may use you a little different in these short series than we did during the course of the year, which everybody does that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, you know, and I think his players were ready for the challenge. He challenged them. You could tell that he had put a lot of energy and time into preparing them for different scenarios. And everybody won't recognize that they are just baseball fans or people looking at the game. But if you're intently watching and looking, you could see some of the things that Jay Johnson did to prepare his team. It showed up. And I knew it because I said, you know, Jay is a big game guy. He's going to get him ready for the big game. And he did just that.
He said he takes time to really soak up a lot of what Skip Berkman has taught him. And, of course, Skip Berkman had his success at LSU. But you and Skip, you know, over the years had some hell of a battles going back and forth. You know, what was those conversations like between you and Skip over the years during you guys' coaching career?
I tell you what, you'll be surprised. Skip and I never really talked a lot about baseball. We did talk, but we had so many other things we could talk about, and we did. And but you know, the valuable information he gave was, you know, that he and I needed to work in the community. Baton Rouge was big enough for Southern and LSU. And if we work and build a better community, both schools benefited. That was, to me, the telling tale right there. We didn't talk about, he knew we weren't going to win a national championship, but we could win in the community, you got me? And that's important. Let's build a better community, you know? Because I remember we had a really good conversation. He said, let me tell you, you're never going to be able to get as much money as I get. He said, you don't have the people to give it to you. He said, you'll do well, but he said, who in your community going to give you the kind of money you need? A lot of people wouldn't understand it. That's why you have friends who will tell you the truth. You need to know the truth. You can make better decisions with the truth. One of my former players told me a couple of days ago, called me, and he said, you've always said to us, a lie will help you, but it's going to hurt you. The truth will hurt, but it's certainly going to help. And that's what I gained with Skip. He told me the truth. He didn't try to lie to me. I mean, he knew the community. He knew what was going on. He knew who the money people were, where they were going to give all the money to. So it's no big deal.
Looking at game 2 of this matchup between Coastal Carolina and LSU, Coastal Carolina's coach comes out, has some words with the umpire in the first inning, and ejected. Your thoughts at looking at that? Because post-game press conference, you could tell Coach was hurt about the situation, but he said, you know, he didn't think it was deemed enough to be ejected, and then as well as his assistant was ejected as well, and at the level of it, it ended up turning into a 2-game. So had they forced the game 3, they were going to be ineligible in game 3 as well. Your thoughts on relationships as a coach, having a point to an umpire, and how do you go about doing it to not get ejected?
Well, you don't know. One thing I'm aware of, that these officials were given instruction prior to that. Give the coaches a little more leeway in case there's an argument. Give them a little leeway. This is a big game, important game. Don't run them. Now, if they say the magic word, then you have no choice. So my thing is, I know that the officials were given instruction. Give them a little leeway, because that's what they do in big games. They all give them a little leeway. You don't want to screw the championship up without having a doing coach. You got me? Well, the coach must have said the magic word.
What's the magic word?
We may have kids listening. It may not be an all-adult show here.
Can we bleep it? We got a bleeper?
Yeah, he said the magic word. And then his damn assistant came out and he said a magic word. You can't do that. He's got to realize, got to know the rules first. The coach can't come back for another game. He can't come back. I got to be able to stay in here to coach the team. You got me? So if the assistant get thrown out, the head coach can't get thrown out. If the head coach get thrown out, the assistant can't. Those things can't happen. It just can't happen.
Yeah. It turned into a big situation, you know, even the umpire tripping over, falling. It was a lot happening in that moment. It was just like, what is happening here? The game just getting started in the first inning. But
in the first inning, he had to say double magic word. You know how hard it is to get thrown out in the first inning in a big game like that?
Yeah.
When you have instruction to give them a little leadway. You got me? Oh, that magic word. I wish I was a fly on the wall.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever been ejected out of a game?
Yes.
As a coach or a player?
Coach, never as a player.
Okay, well, walk me down memory lane.
Oh, my.
Yeah, come on now. Where were we? What was happening? You know, you ain't got to tell me the exact words, but.
I don't remember them. All I know, I've said, you know, umpire was terrible, and I was trying to help him out.
Oh, that's what you was doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I take it you must have been on the road when this happened. This was one of those road games?
Probably was. I might have gotten thrown out at home. I did go out there once at home. Umpire was at first base, and I ran out there. And he didn't throw me out. I ran out there. I said, damn it, you're doing a good job. But damn it, these fans don't think I bitch at you all enough. They think I let y'all off the hook. And I'm saying that you better go along with me. I'm going to be pointing my finger at you, and I'm going to make them think I'm angry. And this umpire is dying. He's done. I said, you better go along. You better make them think I am. I'm going to kick this grass. You know, he's dying. The other umpire came. He's dying. How many coaches would do that? See, they're so involved in the game that the humility is not there anymore. You got me? I had it. I was always under control when I went out there.
But the optics to the crowd looked like you was giving them the business.
Oh, it looked like it. I said, they don't think I get on y'all enough. You better go along with me. You understand me?
Did you walk back to the dugout and laugh at yourself after that?
In the dugout, I did. I didn't want the fans to know. I just put on an Academy Award performance.
Congratulations, you did a hell of a job.
Yeah, because they didn't think I fussed at the umpires enough. And I had to let them know. They want me to fuss at y'all. But I'm here to let you know I'm just acting. It's an acting performance. You know.
Yeah.
So that was one of my greatest performances. That one.
Well, maybe Coastal Carolina coach could have took a page out your book in that first inning, but it seemed like it just got a little heated. It was in the moment and just kind of got away from him. But that's tough in the championship in the first round, man. I mean, in the first inning, for that to happen, man, that's a tough spot.
That should never have happened.
Yeah.
I think that the umpire who did that probably should have said to the first base coach or third base coach, I don't know which one.
First base coach got ejected as well.
Hey, y'all better get him away. I'm giving you 1 minute to get him away. Get him out of here. See, he could have said that, get the coach away. You got me? And then that way the coach could have got in between them.
Yeah.
You got me? So, yeah. So now, but never eject a head coach in the first inning of a championship. Well, College World Series, the biggest game, without him hitting you or touching you, even if he says the magic word. You might want to overlook that for a little while. But he must have said the magic word more than once.
One too many times to get you out of there, won't it?
And then the damn first base coach come in and said, another magic word. I hope it had nothing to do with families. Oh my goodness.
Oh, man. Well, for everybody out there, let's get ready to take a break. Stay tuned. We'll be back of more of Chopping Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Cats down by 58 with 1 minute left.
Hey, where's everybody going? This game's not over. So we're not the best. Our kicker stubbed his toe on the ball, and pretty sure our mascot has his costume on backwards. But this is our team. No matter what.
Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights. Gravitate towards something out of this world. Even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. Breck, we're more than a playground.
Hey, it's Jimmy I with ESPN Radio. Both Coach Roger Cador and I have gone to Dr. Dale Police for years for all of our dental needs. Dr. Police uses the latest technology in preventive dental cleaning, digital x-rays and night guards, restorative tooth-colored fillings, porcelain crowns, complete partial dentures. Zoom whitening, you can whiten teeth 10 shades in as little as an hour. Dental emergencies for infections, broken tooth, or restoration when things just go wrong. Most insurance is accepted. Dr. Dale Police and Dr. Larry Oob, available Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., 926-6899, and PoliceDentistry.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. More Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. You see down below, I'm Perry White. He's Roger Cador. Talking some baseball here because the baseball world of the college side, which you know very well, has come to an end. The LSU Tigers right here in Baton Rouge are the champions. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you know more than anything in terms of program building and consistency of a program, the success that you've had in the past when you have a talented team who accomplishes things that, you know, are tough, and then you deplete that roster, and then you having to look at it and put these names, scramble and figure out how to then bring back championship success the next year without that same talent. Talk to me about that and what that means to consistently keep a program and not be a one-hit wonder.
It's a lot easier now because of NIL money. Well, you can shell out $1 million to a player. Mm-hmm. You can keep him from going pro because they're not going to make that in the first year or two in pro baseball. You got me? Mm-hmm. So why would you go pro? You go to college. And that's what a lot of kids are doing. They're not going to take the $400,000 or $500,000 now. Mm-hmm. They'll go, unless they're really poor kids, you got me? So they'll go to college. Mm-hmm. And they eliminate the minor league, they bypass the minor league, which is important, you got me? So it's a big difference. LSU could be in a really good spot here because of NIL money and the transfer portal. Let me not forget that. You could bet they're gonna be turning people down. Mm-hmm. You know, so they got NIL money, the transfer portal. They won't be fixed for a while.
The old school way, and I say the old school way because NIL, transfer portal wasn't the big things when you were around, but
it wasn't nothing.
Yeah. So, you know, you had a program, you had a team that nobody think, man, how are we going to outdo that? But then you consistently found success. What was that like turning a roster after losing talent sometime, you know, from seniors, guys leaving, and then say, all right, I got to get the next crop of guys together?
Well, I was fortunate. Is that I had about 40 or 50 guys back then. They let you have as many people. I kept a big roster and developed from within. And kids didn't leave my program. They stayed. I had kids being drafted in the 3rd round. They stayed until they got the opportunity. That's never going to happen again. Mm-hmm. So The loyalty factor was really good, and I really want to thank those guys if they're listening out there, those who stayed and who put up with my foolishness and put up with me, you know. But one thing I had working for me was their mamas, their mothers, wanted their kids to have that experience under me. Not necessarily all the daddies, but the mothers did.
That's a big thing because overall, looking at coaching, that's the hard part that I think people often overlook is the rebuilding of a program and then working that roster, looking at who's the next talent, and then realizing, all right, where do I go from here? That's the hardest part of coaching, isn't it?
It is, you know, because kids are so selfish nowadays. It's hard to just bring them all in and put them together and make it work immediately. You know, that's hard because now they've got their own agenda, you know. They're thinking about getting a big contract. So that's what makes it even more difficult. So,
because for you having 40, 50-man roster, you have guys feeling like, I want to play now, and it's like you got to develop, and it's a guy ahead of you. You wait your time, you're going to get your opportunity.
it's 34 right now.
That's obsolete these days.
No, it's 34-man roster now.
Well, I'm talking about in
okay.
your time when you say, you got all this talent, right? There's a guy on that roster somewhere saying, I want to play now, I feel like I'm good enough, but you got a guy ahead of him. You talk to him about being loyal to the program. When your time comes, you'll get it. That today's game, nobody wants to sit around and wait. If I'm not getting that playing time now, I'll go somewhere else and get it.
That's right. That's what they're going to do. So, yeah, it's not. I'm so glad I'm not coaching anymore. You know.
I think a lot of people have this conversation when they looked at Nick Saban get away from the game and said, you know what, the game and everything around it, I just can't go in talking about an education, championships, and opportunity. I got to go in now and I got to talk about the money. And that's pretty much where it starts and where it ends at now.
Yeah. It's a different for old school coaches such as myself and Nick. We ain't got time for all of that. We want to, you know, we want to be able to develop and build. And that's not the way it is now.
Looking at Jay Johnson in this new world and you looking around at everything in terms of college baseball, man, what do you think any obstacles for Jay Johnson moving forward now that because you're on top of the college baseball world. You got the trophy. It's good that first week, the parade, the everybody pat on your back. You get all the dinner invites. Don't have to pay for a meal in town. But, hey, you got to get back to work.
Yes. And it's easier in baseball to rebuild because of the dynamic of how the game is. Football is a little more difficult because you're going to need a lot more people. And basketball is the easiest. You don't need that many people. So it's an interesting scenario. I just don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I don't.
Talent, looking at the field, outfield, infield, pitcher, catcher, as you look at the next talent, as you go after that next student athletes, what's typically for people out there who don't know as a coach, what's priority number one?
Pitching.
Pitching.
Up the middle, short, second, center field, catching, and of course pitching. That's where the gut, you want to be strong up the middle. And then you want a third baseman can hit, right fielder, left fielder can hit, first baseman. Those 4 positions, you need offense. So pretty much that's what High's built on that, you know. You gotta have strength. If you're weak, you're gonna have weakened defense in left field, and maybe right field you can be a little weak there. But everywhere else you want to be strength, you know, have some strength. So it'll be good.
And I gotta ask, because when you look at pitchers, and you've evaluated some talent for the Swingman Classic from the HBCU level this year that'll be playing out there during the MLB All-Star Weekend. As you evaluate pitcher, what are you looking for in a pitcher in evaluation, not just for the swingman, but just overall, just what's good to look at in a pitcher that obviously LSU has found in those dynamic guys that they've had?
Now we're looking at a whole different kind of situation here.
And I'm speaking overall, just pitcher, flat out. Yeah.
You know, well, the pitchers we're looking at, you're looking at pitcher who can throw strikes, consistently throw strikes, and have feature at least 2 pitches. And, you know, that's basically what we're looking for. You know, because we know that low resource schools not going to have those flamethrowers, as they call, you know. So we take what they got and go forward with it. Now, we had 2 pitchers drafted last year, so they came from the East Coast, MEAC schools that don't exist anymore, or conference that don't exist. So, you know, that's basically what we'll be looking for.
Yeah. And I'm speaking, too, on the big level, too, just college baseball, you know, as coaches evaluate and looking for pitchers to scout, to bring into programs, you know, recruiting, what does that look like at a high school guy?
Well, you want to look at some arm strength, but a feel for pitching is vitally important for college. If he has a feel for pitching, can locate the ball, move it around a little, not necessarily throwing hard, but those things, you know, you look for. You know, again, when I was coaching, you know how many kids I took was throwing 80, 81, 82 miles per hour? And we'd help develop them by putting them on a throwing program. And that's what we did. And every now and then we convinced a strong-armed outfielder to pitch, and they did well. But for the most part, just went and got kids who could throw strikes and had a good feel and wouldn't mind moving. And that's how we did it.
And I listened to you doing, especially I think it was last year doing the SWAC baseball tournament. You were looking at evaluating pitchers in game, real time, and you saw them just trying to throw as hard as they could. And you was like, man, let's not worry about that. And you said that in the commentary of the game live, that let's just focus about getting it across the plate. You would be surprised how many guys you could strike out just by simply getting it across the plate.
Well, you know, I used to tell my pitchers when I was sitting on the bench and they were taking batting practice, and I would point out, look, they're throwing batting practice. Look how many balls they don't handle, the hitters. They don't do anything with it. You don't think that would happen in the game? Every ball being thrown ain't going to be hit out the park. Concentrate on location, throw strikes, and we'll be okay.
And that's being okay. I think you did a great job of letting them be okay. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right?
It is. It really is. You know, it really is so.
Well, let's get ready to take our last and final break for everybody out there. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. We'll come back and get ready to close things out. You guys stay tuned and more. Chopping It Up with Coach Cador and Roger and Perry White.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Hey, it's Jimmy Ott with ESPN Radio. Both Coach Roger Cador and I have gone to Dr. Dale Police for years for all of our dental needs. Dr. Police uses the latest technology in preventive dental cleaning, digital x-rays and night guards, restorative tooth-colored fillings, porcelain crowns, complete partial dentures. Zoom whitening, you can whiten teeth 10 shades in as little as an hour. Dental emergencies for infections, broken tooth, or restoration when things just go wrong. Most insurance is accepted. Dr. Dale Police and Dr. Larry Oob, available Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., 926-6899, and PoliceDentistry.com.
From a sharecropper's son to an esteemed baseball coach for Southern University, a road that was potholed with poverty, racism, and pain. These obstacles should have kept him from the top of his game. Instead, he fought back with everything he had and won. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles the life of legendary head coach Roger Cador, the 14-time SWAC champion with 11 NCAA regional appearances. He's a member of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. He's a member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. He's a prestigious inductee into the Southern University Hall of Fame. And now, he's a distinguished member of the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Purchased today, Against All Odds. Against All Odds can be purchased on Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and Google Play.
All right, we're back with more Chopped It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Of course, I'm Perry White, and sitting next to me is the producer, the videographer, and the talented Roger Cador. Why? He on me right now. We got to figure out some things for next week's show. But right now, as we down to the last spot, Coach, you know,
we got a special guest next week.
Talk to us about it.
Oh yeah, we have Dusty Baker coming in. So all you fans out there listening who's a big fan of Dusty, he'll be joining us next week.
And talk about you and Dusty's relationship, the fact that you guys have a bond that a lot of people may not know about.
50-some years. 50-some years. We played with the Braves together, and it goes a long ways. And, you know, Dusty helped me a lot with equipment when I didn't have any. And not only that, with other contact, open other doors for me. Yeah.
Did you see when you guys were playing together, did you see coaching in his future? Was there something that came like, you know what, you'll make a great coach?
Well, Dusty got along with people. And, you know, people listen to him. That's always a good sign that if you can communicate and people listen to you, you get along, you got a chance to be a successful coach when you're trying to bring people together.
I'm going to ask you this because I never asked you this as long as we've been around. What are some coaches, even when you were a player and coaching yourself, that you looked at and was like, you know what, that's a good guy right there. That's a guy I can maybe make a phone call to, have conversations, bounce ideas off the wall, or just overall a good guy?
I really never really call people to bounce ideas off their head. I remember when I was an assistant basketball coach, one of my former basketball players, teammates, called my house at 12 o'clock at night. My wife had a tough day. She was restless. So she answered the phone, and she wanted to know, who's calling this house this late? And the guy said, oh, I'm called to ask him, run some question about coaching. She said, if you ever call this house again. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. That taught me a lesson. I don't call people about coaching. I never did. The one thing I said when I first started coaching, I went to Atlanta, talked with some of the players about what you do in certain situations. You got me? Because I was an outfielder. I wanted to know what the infielders and catchers do, you know. So other than that, I didn't talk. That might sound crazy, but I didn't talk to nobody about coaching.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it sounds crazy, but you know, you would think along the way, you know, if you're coaching against a guy or, you know, watching from afar, like, you know what, something, or said you saw him do something, man, let me find out a little bit about that, you know.
Not really. Maybe I did, but I don't remember.
Did you do coaching clinics at all?
No.
No?
No. I never went to a coaching clinic. I mean, so I'm can I say I was a little different?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I was a little different. And I tell people, you don't want to be like me, you know.
Why is that?
Because people need to feel that they're getting insight into something. I use very simple, I use simplicity. That's what got me through, and they don't want to hear nothing simple.
It's got to be more to it when you say it's the ingredients. No, it's got to be more to it for it to be that good, huh?
Yeah. So my thing is, I just, And I told her that one in Omaha, Nebraska at the Hall of Fame induction. I don't want any of these coaches who were in there to be like me, the way I became a Hall of Famer. It's probably not going to work for you. And I said, it was a unique situation. I didn't have a lot of people to work with me. The few that I did, we made it happen. And I just didn't do a lot of that stuff. I said, I'm not sophisticated. I use simple stuff. Hey man, catch that ball and throw it. Release it, get a release step, throw it, make sure when you release the ball, your arm is in front of you. You think somebody is going to tell that to kids? That doesn't sound sweet.
Why I'm going to pay all this money for you to say that?
And that's all you're doing. And I mean, that's why I said, that's why I never did clinics and none of that stuff. I just did it the simple way, and it worked, and my players enjoyed it. They could do it. I didn't leave anybody behind because I was teaching something they didn't know how to do. They could learn to do the little simple stuff I was doing. I had some teachers that they taught you something whole semester, and then on the final, they give you something they never taught you. Why would you do that? Why would a teacher do such a thing? They did it. And I was always confused by that. And I made sure that I never did that. If I say count to 4 and I put it on the test, I expect them to put how we count to 4, not how we get 6 out of 2. I mean, just think about it. You really do injustice to people when you teach something and then you ask them to answer something you never taught them. Just think about that.
And I see that all the time because I was officiating youth league football. And you get a lot of guys who don't have a coaching background, but they just out yelling and fussing at the kids. And then you put so much fear in the kids, but you're not teaching them the fundamental. You're just yelling and they don't process it well.
Right.
No,
I've seen some crazy things in this coaching profession. I used to, when I started getting white kids, and I used to laugh. When they hit a foul ball, we had to go get it because we didn't have many balls.
Well, for everybody out there, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's show. Of course, Coach and I will be back next week with Dusty Baker here as of right now to have him on as a guest. So I hope you guys stay tuned and listen. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell somebody about Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White that they need to tune in and watch us each and every week on Pelican Sports TV. Don't miss out, okay? We want you guys to become a fan of the show and continue to grow with us. So, as always, we'll see you guys next week or more. Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White.